For decades, Patti LaBelle was known as the godmother of soul, a woman whose voice could move hearts and lift spirits. People saw her shining smile, her powerful voice, and her grace on stage, but few knew the pain hiding behind that glow. You won't believe how much tragedy one woman had to carry while still standing tall before the world. Patti was born into a big, loving family in Philadelphia, surrounded by siblings and music. But destiny took an unexpected turn when, one by one, her family began slipping away from her. She had four siblings, and one after another, she watched each of them die young. Her sisters, Vivian, Jackie, and Barbara, all passed away before the age of 44, each from cancer. It was like a curse that wouldn't end. Patti said she felt as if death was chasing her family. She watched her sister Jackie, her closest friend, fight for her life. Patti spent long nights by her bedside, singing softly, hoping her voice would bring comfort. When Jackie took her last breath in 1989, Patti said a part of her soul went with her. She once said, "I watched my sisters die, and I promised God I'd do whatever I could to live." That promise became her mission, but the pain never really left. Before losing her sisters, Patti had already faced another heartbreak. Her father, Henry, passed away when she was still in her early 30s. He was a quiet man, a railroad worker, full of faith but few words. Patti adored him deeply. And just when she was learning to live with that loss, her mother, Bertha, died from diabetes complications a few years later. Patti called her mother her anchor, the center of her world. Losing both parents so close together left her broken, like the last one standing in an empty room. There were moments when she said she felt cursed, haunted by the thought that she would lose everyone she loved. But she didn't stop. She kept performing, kept smiling, and kept her pain hidden behind her music. This is how she learned to survive, by singing through the sorrow. Still, every night after the shows ended, when the lights went out and the applause faded, the silence reminded her of what she'd lost. She once said she still talks to her sisters every day, as if they were still there listening. But here is the shocking part. While the world thought Patti had everything, she was battling heartbreak after heartbreak in private. People called her strong, but few understood that her strength came from standing in the ashes of loss. What makes this story different is that instead of letting tragedy break her, Patti used it to build a life filled with purpose. She began speaking openly about health and early cancer detection, hoping to save others from the same pain her family went through. Through it all, she held on to her faith. She believed that every loss, every tear, and every song had meaning. Her voice, the same one that comforted her dying sister, became her weapon of survival. But destiny wasn't done testing her yet. Behind her glowing fame, another story was waiting, one that would test her heart in ways she never expected. After years of carrying the pain of losing her family, Patti tried to find peace through love. She wanted something steady, something that could make her feel whole again. In her younger years, before she became a legend, she met Otis Williams, the lead singer of The Temptations. They fell in love quickly, and soon they were engaged. Everyone thought they were going to be the next powerful couple in the music world. But this is where it gets interesting. Just when everything seemed perfect, Patti made a choice that changed everything. You won't believe what she did. Otis wanted her to leave her music career behind, to stay home, and become a traditional wife. But Patti couldn't do it. Singing wasn't just her job. It was her lifeline, her gift, the one thing that kept her heart beating. So she walked away from the man she loved. She once said, "I couldn't let a man tell me to stop singing. That was my calling." It was a brave decision, but it broke her heart in ways she couldn't explain. After ending that engagement, she started to believe maybe love wasn't meant for her, that her destiny was to sing, not to settle down. But destiny took an unexpected turn again when she met Armstead Edwards, the man who would change her life. He wasn't a singer or a star. He was her manager. He believed in her when others didn't. Over time, that belief turned into love. They got married in 1969 and had a son, Zuri. To the outside world, Patti and Armstead seemed perfect, strong, stable, and different from the usual Hollywood couples. They stayed together for over 30 years, which in the world of fame was almost a miracle. But here is the shocking part. Behind the smiles in the photos, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. Over time, they grew apart. There were no fights, no scandals, no betrayal, just silence. The kind of silence that grows between two people who still care but no longer connect. In 2000, after more than 3 decades of marriage, they quietly divorced. Patti later said, "We realized we couldn't live together anymore, but we still loved each other deeply." What makes this story different is that their breakup didn't come with drama or bitterness. It came with sadness and respect. Patti was heartbroken but thankful. She said she'd rather part peacefully than destroy the love they once had. Still, it left her alone again, facing fame, aging, and the quiet emptiness that comes when the crowd is gone and the lights go off. She tried to hide her loneliness behind her strength, but the people close to her could see it. She poured her emotions into her music, turning heartbreak into lyrics that touched millions. You won't believe how many of her songs came from real pain. Each performance became therapy, each note a reminder that even though love had left her, her purpose had not. But destiny wasn't done shaping her story. Just when she thought she had seen it all, something happened on stage that nearly cost her everything: her voice, her career, even her life. It was one of those nights Patti would never forget. The crowd was loud, the lights were bright, and the music was electric. She was performing with her group LaBelle, famous for their hit song Lady Marmalade. Everything was perfect until suddenly it wasn't. Without warning, the stage beneath them began to shake. In seconds, the lights came crashing down, the wooden boards cracked, and chaos broke out everywhere. Patti barely escaped with her life. People screamed, the band ran, and for a moment she thought it was all over. But here is the shocking part. When most people would have stepped away from the spotlight forever, Patti came back stronger. She said that night reminded her that her purpose wasn't finished yet. You won't believe how that terrifying accident changed her. It made her fearless. She realized that life could be taken in an instant, so she decided to live every moment fully, to sing harder, love deeper, and never take another day for granted. But just when she began to find peace again, another storm hit, this time much closer to her heart. Her only son, Zuri, the boy she raised with love and pride, began facing problems of his own. In his teenage years, he struggled with the pressure of living in his mother's shadow. Patti was touring, performing around the world, and fame often took her away from home. She once admitted she missed important moments in Zuri's life because she was always on the road. Later, when he became an adult, he started working as her manager, running her business and tours. But this is where it gets interesting. Things didn't always go smoothly. In recent years, Zuri faced public legal battles involving business disputes and lawsuits tied to her touring company. The media jumped on the story, twisting it and dragging Patti's name into it. You won't believe how much that hurt her. After losing so many people in her life, seeing her son caught up in controversy broke her all over again. She said watching him struggle felt like watching history repeat itself, pain coming for her family once more. But what makes this story different is that Patti never turned her back on him. No matter what the world said, she stood by her son's side. She protected him fiercely, reminding everyone that family wasn't something she gave up on. She said, "He's my only child. I'll fight for him till my last breath." Still, the emotional toll was heavy. Patti was tired of being strong, tired of losing, tired of pretending everything was fine. But destiny took another unexpected turn. Around the same time, she started losing many of her closest friends, people who were like family to her. Legends like Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, and Prince, all gone. Each death hit her like a wave she couldn't escape. When Aretha passed away, Patti said it felt like the end of an era. Despite years of rumored rivalry, the two had deep respect for each other. Patti cried publicly, saying the world had lost more than a voice, it lost a queen. One after another, the people who had walked her journey disappeared, leaving her surrounded by ghosts of songs and memories. She once said every time she performed, she could still feel them with her, standing beside her on stage, singing along in spirit. But here is the craziest part. No matter how many times she was hit with pain, she refused to give up. She said, "I've been through storms, but I still have my song." After losing her family, her friends, and even parts of herself along the way, Patti thought she had seen every kind of heartbreak life could bring. But destiny wasn't finished with her yet. In the 1990s, while performing in front of thousands, she suddenly collapsed on stage. The crowd gasped, the music stopped, and panic spread everywhere. Later, doctors told her that her blood sugar had spiked dangerously high. She had type 2 diabetes, the same illness that had taken her mother's life. For a moment, she thought her story might end just like her mother's. But here is the shocking part. She didn't let fear win. You won't believe how that near-death experience changed her. Patti decided she wouldn't just survive, she would fight back. She learned everything she could about diabetes, changed her diet, and began using her voice to help others. She said, "I live with diabetes, but it doesn't define me." What makes this story different is that Patti didn't hide her struggle. She made it public, hoping her truth would save someone else's life. She became an advocate, reminding her fans that strength wasn't about pretending to be perfect, it was about surviving honestly. Still, fame didn't protect her from betrayal. Behind the glamour and awards, she faced moments when people she trusted, managers, promoters, even friends, took advantage of her. She was underpaid, misled, and sometimes even sabotaged. Being a Black woman in a white-dominated music industry wasn't easy, and she had to fight twice as hard to be respected. But instead of breaking, she learned. She took control of her business, her career, and her destiny. She built her brand, owned her name, and made sure no one could ever use her again. As the years passed, Patti continued to perform, her voice still rich, her energy still radiant. But there were nights when the stage lights dimmed and the loneliness returned. She once said that sometimes when the world grew quiet, she would sit alone in her kitchen, cooking her favorite food, remembering everyone she had lost. "The nights get too quiet," she admitted, "but I'm still grateful." You won't believe how she found comfort in faith, in family, and in the simple joy of still being here. She often said that every time she sings, she feels her sisters, her parents, and her friends standing beside her. She believes they never truly left. They just moved to another stage, one she'll join someday. And until then, she sings for them. This is where it gets interesting. Patti LaBelle's life wasn't just about loss, it was about transformation. She turned grief into grace, heartbreak into hope, and pain into purpose. The craziest part is that after everything she's endured, she still calls herself blessed. At over 80 years old, Patti LaBelle stands as one of the most respected and beloved artists of all time. Her voice carries not just notes, but memories, each one a reminder of survival, love, and strength. She once said, "I've been through pain, but I'm still here for a reason." And maybe that's the truth destiny always had waiting for her, that even when everything is taken away, the song, the soul, never dies. Patti LaBelle didn't just survive her tragedies, she transformed them into timeless music and unstoppable grace. Her story wasn't just about fame, it was about faith. It wasn't about loss, it was about legacy. And through every heartbreak, she proved that the spirit of a true soul never fades.